Living Life Juicy podcast. Conversations with interesting people you should know.
Welcome back to Living Life Juicy, the podcast where we explore how we can be present and kind as we do great things. I'm your host and guide, John Losey, and we've invited Janie Jeffries back to take over the show and ask me 3 questions. So, Janie, take it over.
Awesome. Thank you, John. So I am curious, what were some, like your origin story is one question that I would have, but in that origin, I'm also interested in people that influenced you in your story.
Yeah. So my origin story, I like to say my work history is varied and vast, but other people say I just can't focus. I've been everything from a janitor to a gym assistant to a camp counselor. I've started my own organizations. I've worked in organizations. I've been a scuba instructor. I've played music in front of a couple thousand people. So all kinds of different stuff. And I think people who influenced me most, I look at my parents, my mom and dad together in very different ways. My mom just creating a space at home, even though my dad was a pilot and gone, she was the space at home. And my dad showed me he was my coach, and he showed me how to work with people and how to coach in such a way that you are coaching a whole person, not just an athlete. So those people, I think of my high school wrestling coach, a guy named Dan Pry, who when I coached with him, I was an assistant coach to him for wrestling and football. I still remember my first year coaching football. I'm just coming off playing college football and I'm doing all these crazy techniques. He says, John, hold on. You got to teach them to get into a stance before they can get out of a stance. Just brilliant. And then I think another big influence on me for my professional life is a man named Fred Harburg, who's probably the most influential organizational development and coach person who you've never heard about. He actually started using the Air Force Academy's Challenge Course, which was really like confidence course. He used it in their leadership development program for the stuff we do today. And that was in the mid 70s. So another influential, those are a few of the people who really influenced the way I think and feel. I think Jimmy Buffett, James Taylor, and David Wilcox, their music has influenced and inspired me quite a bit as well.
Yeah. Oh, the Jimmy Buffett. And just in conversations, I know you work with, I'm curious what population you really, really, really enjoy, maybe your favorite type of group to work with in the work that you do.
Wow. That's, it used to be without a beat, I would have said youth.
Yeah.
But I think right now, some of my favorite people to work with are CEOs who get that they are with the beginner mentality. The best leaders I've ever worked with are the ones who step in the room and wonder what everybody's contributing. And I found that more often at the top level, at the mid-level organizational leadership and entry-level organizational leadership, they assume they need to have all the answers. I think the other population, this is going to sound weird, is junior hires, because while they may appear brain damaged and wild, they don't assume anything. They'll come in and make statements and all that kind of stuff. But if you have created an environment where they feel comfortable stepping in, man, they step in deep. So CEOs and junior hires, same thing.
Same thing. When you're talking, I'm currently in the middle of the originals book. I think it just came out. And I'm going to, again, forget the author, Adam Grant.
Adam Grant.
Originals. Yeah. And he was talking about middle managers. And so, so my brain pattern is, what is a book that you, has impacted you recently?
Yeah. And Adam Grant. So I'm in the group we call the Kind of Book Club, because we get books and we kind of talk about them, but mostly what we do is whatever it launches into, whatever it makes us start to examine, that's what we end up talking about. And it's been a wonderful experience. Adam Grant, we did originals and we did Think Again. And that's where that question comes from about what have you rethought recently. That Think Again was a powerful book for a couple of reasons. One, so I do a lot of work with, we talked about trust, and Lencioni talked about trust being the foundational competency for groups and teams that lead to be able to have healthy conflict. What Lencioni doesn't talk about are what Adam Grant points out is two significantly different types of conflict. You have relational conflict and you have task conflict. Task conflict is essential for groups to continuously improve in their performance because you have a level of trust where you can start to challenge each other based on outcomes and based on how you're shooting for success. Relational conflict kills teams. So when people talk about conflict resolution or conflict management, I say, yes, you need to manage the conflict that is task related and resolve the conflict that is personality. And I'm just writing a whole, just
And what
finished
book
an
is that
article.
from? Because I kind of need that right now.
Well, that is from that's his book, Think Again. And I just wrote an article, and I'm launching a workshop called what is it? Tackling Tough Conversations.
Tough conversation. Okay.
Yeah, and it's basically going into how do we, most people don't like difficult conversations; they avoid them. And one of the difficult conversations is when conflict arises. And being able to, when your group is in conflict, being able to know what kind of conflict is it? Is it task or is it relationship? And then step into the right strategies for dealing with either one. Because oftentimes leaders just, let's resolve this conflict because it's uncomfortable. And nobody, it's not good to be uncomfortable. Well, from our background, we know discomfort, which leads to disequilibrium, leads to growth and change. So that I think it was a wonderful book to discuss for a lot of reasons. Another thing out of it was he talked about the using and leveraging the imposter syndrome imposter syndrome keeps you from Dunning-Kruger effect.
I don't know the Dunning-Kruger effect.
Okay, Dunning-Kruger is the people with the least skill and least experienced rate themselves as the most skilled and most experienced.
Okay.
And so they overestimate their ability or competency because they lack the experience. They don't know any better. And so that's one problem. And I'm sure you've seen it with people who get out there and go, I've got this. Yeah. And then they realize, oh, this is much harder than I thought. On the other side, imposter syndrome is often cripples people from trying things. Okay. And those two things create a very positive dynamic tension to where you never overestimate your abilities, but also, you've got a lot, you can do stuff, you can get things done. So I loved his chapter on that.
Okay. And that's again in Think Again.
In Think Again with Byam.
All of those things are currently having some effects on my life right now.
Well, let's talk about the difficult conversations thing.
Yeah.
Because let me know if you want to work through that stuff.
Okay.
But not here, not now. That's
not now. Yep.
So hey, thank you for the great questions and allowing me to share some of my thoughts on that stuff.
Yeah.
And Janie, we'll have to talk again soon.
Okay. Thank you, John.
Be present and kind as you do great things.